Hello everyone and welcome to my 5th Digimon Tamers retrospective video. This time I'm going to be talking about the 5th episode of Digimon Tamers, Culu Culu playing with Culumon. So for a brief synopsis of this episode, we have Culumon causing panic at the school by accidentally committing acts of vandalism, and this occurs after watching a game of soccer because he wants to play too. So he kind of does that overnight, he commits some vandalism. We then also have Takado meeting Culumon, and he's wondering what friend of his should be partnered up with Culumon, but he can't actually think of a perfect match. He assigns Gilmon to look after and protect Culumon, but they kind of end up just playing instead. However, they accidentally draw a pentagram and summon Evilmon, which is a very good name for a Digimon, who is evil. Takado fails to card slash, but Ruki and Renamon end up showing up, defeating Evilmon and absorbing his data, which Takado decides that he is annoyed by. For my brief thoughts, I don't really have much to say about this episode, as it's basically mostly filler. We've kind of had a few episodes where we've been introduced to these characters, and this episode is sort of just acting as an introduction to Culumon, and this is because the characters haven't met him yet, and the viewer has just been seeing Culumon kind of wander around Shinjuku and kind of cause a little bit of trouble by just talking to people and have them understandably freak out. So we sort of get introduced to Culumon, but more or less this episode is a little bit of a filler episode. We have Gilmon and Culumon drawing a pentagram which summons a Digimon, which is kind of a nice touch. It's a nice little explanation about how sometimes Digimon appear. I'm not sure if they're all from summoning circles, but that could be a cool little touch. And we also learn that Takado thinks that absorbing data is cruel. And this sort of expands on what we had in episode 4, where we have Lee telling Terriermon not to absorb the data, as a contrast again with Ruki and Renamon, who are always absorbing the data because they want to get stronger. A positive point that I have about this episode is how we have Takado, who is slowly still learning to be a tamer. We had Lee's card slash animation last episode, but Takado hasn't really had one yet, and he's kind of failing to get it right, and it's something that we still won't have for a few more episodes, and that is kind of a nice little touch. Like, usually we have the Golden Kid being the best and the strongest and, the most adapted everything, but Takado's not very good at this. Like, he's just started. Lee and Ruki have kind of been doing this a little bit longer. We don't know how long, but it's implied a little bit longer than Takado, who I think has only met Gilmon like a week ago at this point, so it's kind of new for him, so he's still struggling to get it right, which is a nice thing to see. It's nice to see someone actually struggling. They're not just fantastic at being this chosen child Digimon tamer straight away off the bat, so that's a nice thing. To this day, and this is the last point I want to really finish up on, is that I have mixed feelings about Takado being wrong about Juri and Culumon being partnered up. On one hand, he's wrong, and I wish the show later on actually addressed the fact that Takado realised they could have been good together. Like, Juri and Culumon would have been a good match. But in his sort of imagination, Juri and Culumon just scream at each other out of horror, which I feel like wouldn't actually happen. And now I'm thinking maybe he does and I'm misremembering, but maybe I don't really think that they ever address that. But it'd be nice if they did. But it is kind of also another touch on, of course, that they can't be partnered up, because then they'll get along later on, and we'll see that down the track, but it's something that's not really addressed again. As for my overall rating, I'm going to give this episode a 2 out of 5. It's not as interesting and as exciting as the previous episodes, but it has got a few nice things that I really appreciate, and again, it's taking this show kind of slowly. While we're not meeting any characters, or we're not learning about any of the characters or any of the backstory in this episode, we're still kind of setting the scene of Hypnos being creepy, Culumon being energetic, excitable, playful, maybe not a Digimon sort of thing, and it's kind of like a nice slow start, but still not the most exciting episode. And that's basically all my thoughts I have on this episode. So thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!